BeonTV UK, for the community, by the community. www.beontvuk.com. BeonTV UK, for the community, by the community. www.beontvuk.com.
Lal Haweli Restaurant at the heart of Walsall. BBC Welsh Curry Award-winning chef Abul Hussain presents most unique and amazing tawa dishes with many flavours and choices. Eat with your family and friends. A unique dining experience never to be missed. Lal Haweli, a 400-seat capacity restaurant perfect for any small parties and functions. Special seating arrangements for ladies and families with prayer facility inside. Mouth-watering tawa dishes. Join Tawa Festival at Lal Haweli. Lal Haweli, home of Tawa. 1 Midland Road, Walsall.
আপনি কি আপনার রেস্টুরেন্টের জন্য কমার্শিয়াল কুকার, তান্দুরি, হট প্লেট, ওভেন এবং ক্যানোপির বিশ্বস্ত প্রতিষ্ঠান খুঁজছেন? তাহলে আর ভাবনা নেই। সুদীর্ঘ 20 বছর স্পেন এবং ইতালিতে সুনামের সাথে ব্যবসা করার পর এখন বার্মিংহামে খোলা হলো আমাদের ফ্যাক্টরি। আপনার রেস্টুরেন্টের জন্য কমার্শিয়াল কুকার, তান্দুরি, হট প্লেট এবং ক্যানোপি আমরা গ্যারান্টি সহকারে তৈরি করে থাকি। Birmingham Commercial Cooker Limited. Phone 07952978136.
Good evening and hello everyone. I am ANAM Choudhury, welcoming you all from the BeonTV studio here in Birmingham. Thank you for joining us today on this special program put together to inform and update our communities about the upcoming Birmingham Commonwealth Games 2022. If possible, please share this program with your friends and colleagues on Facebook and YouTube at Beon Television. As you know, the next Commonwealth Game are due to take place here in Birmingham from the 28th of July to 8th of August this year. We have a special guest here today with us to let us know how things are going and how the communities can help to make this event a success. So we have with us Nicola Turner, who is the Director of Legacy at the Birmingham 2022 Commonwealth Games. Nicola, thank you very much for joining us today. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Lovely, thank you. So was everything okay coming to the studio today?
Yeah, it was great, thank you. My grandfather had a grocer's shop about half a mile away from here when I was growing up, so I haven't been down the road in a while, and it was quite nice to be back.
Brilliant. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Back. So moving on to the games. So Nicola, as I believe it's 198 days to go to the big day. So tell us about the Commonwealth Games, its aims and objectives, and how is it different to other international games such as the Olympics and World Cup events?
Thanks, Anand. It is 198 days to go, and that's going to go really, really fast. The Commonwealth Games is, we've got 5 core missions for this particular games. We're aiming to be a catalyst for change because when you hold a games like this, it can attract investment to a place, it can really put you on the map and bring new audiences and visitors to a place. We're aiming to help this region to grow and succeed through hosting the games here. We'd like to improve health and well-being, partly because here in the West Midlands there are people who have really suffered through COVID, but also we have some of the most suffering people in the country, and we're at the bottom of league tables you don't want to be at the bottom of. And we think the games can inspire people and help people to make changes in their lives that will make them healthier We also would like to help people get jobs, and we know that having a big investment like this in a place often can benefit the usual suspects. And a really big thing for this Games was the vision that we've put forward is the Games for everyone. We wanted to make sure that the community benefit from having the Games here for many, many years to come. And that runs through every choice that we've made in delivering the Games. But you asked me, how is the Commonwealth Games different to something like the Olympics? The Commonwealth Games is only the 72 nations and territories that are part of the Commonwealth. And the athletes that participate in it call it the friendly games. It's our connection through the Commonwealth that makes people want to come and voluntarily participate. We don't have as many sports. This particular Games, we've only got 19 sports. The Olympics, people remember from Tokyo, there were many, many more than that. And the other thing about the Commonwealth Games is it integrates the para sports with the main able-bodied programme.
Okay. That's brilliant, and so it's more of like a family game, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's all the family members coming together, playing a game. So that's brilliant. And what was the first game took place? Was it 1930? Was the first time?
You're probably better informed than me, but yeah, it's been running a very long time. The last time the Games was in the UK was in Glasgow, and people might remember we also had one in Manchester. Yeah,
and
Birmingham.
Is it televised on a free basis, so anyone can watch it? Yeah,
we're expecting 1.5 billion viewers actually.
Across the globe.
Across the globe.
Brilliant, brilliant. That's really good, and we're all looking forward to taking part in terms of as an audience and also as volunteering in there as well. So how did the Commonwealth Games come to Birmingham? What was the process of bringing it to Birmingham, and who was behind it?
I think we've got quite an interesting story. Okay. The Games wasn't originally awarded to Birmingham. It was actually awarded to Durban in South Africa.
Okay.
And 2 years into their preparations, they weren't ready. So they went back out to look for host cities that could, on a very short notice, host the Games. And Birmingham threw its hat in the ring, and we were successful. Oh. So we've had a much shorter period than most normal host cities. And of course, we've had the pandemic to deal with. But I think it's testament to the kind of place that Birmingham and the West Midlands is. We're on time, we're on budget, and we can't wait to put on a great show. And
this is one of the most diverse cities in the world, isn't it? And
it is.
We've got the audience to watch it here in Birmingham. So how many athletes are participating in the game?
We're going to have 4,500 athletes come from across those 72 nations and territories of the Commonwealth. There'll be able-bodied athletes and para-athletes.
Okay. And are the games being held just in Birmingham or in the wider cities?
Well, we had to pick one name to put before the 2022, so it says Birmingham 2022, but it is a Commonwealth Games which takes in the region. We are going to be hosting road races for the marathon and cycling, which will go around the region. We'll be having things like lawn bowls in Leamington. There'll be rugby sevens in Coventry. So we're aiming to spread ourselves and showcase the best of our region through our different venues.
Okay, and I'm sure all the local authorities across the West Midlands are working in partnership to make it happen.
They are.
Yeah, okay. That's brilliant. So I'm sure the infrastructure required for such a big event is going to be tremendous. So I just wanted to ask you, how much is it costing and who's paying for it?
Yeah, well, it's costing £778 million.
Almost £1 billion, isn't it?
It is. but this is coming from central government. Birmingham City Council have put in a considerable amount of their money, but it's interesting, this particular Games isn't building buildings. So previous Games perhaps have invested a lot of that money in capital building, but actually we're only building one new build, and that's the Sandwell Aquatic Centre. And what Sandwell Council have done is they've actually knocked down a couple of old leisure centres, and this was always the plan, to build a fancy new one, but they brought it forward in time for the Games.
And is it on time for the Games?
It is.
Okay.
I am reliably informed that they're filling the pool with water as a test any day now, and we were watching as they started tiling the pool and building that 10-metre diving board, and I haven't been yet, but I'm looking forward to a visit.
Brilliant. I've heard that Her Majesty the Queen is very much interested in the Commonwealth Games. She's the head of the Commonwealth as well. So will Her Majesty the Queen be attending the opening ceremony?
We very much hope so. I was lucky enough to be in the audience when the Queen's baton set off from Buckingham Palace, and Her Majesty the Queen came out for her very first appearance since COVID, actually. And she came out, and the baton was given to Cadena Cox, and I couldn't believe the Queen's smile. She was beaming, and I think this baton and its journey around the Commonwealth is really special to her. And putting her message into the baton and then that travelling around the world, I think she'll be really keen to be there when it returns.
Brilliant, and we hope and pray that that Her Majesty will be able to be in good health and join the ceremony as well.
Because of course it's her Diamond Jubilee in the same year, and it should be a huge year for her.
Brilliant, and what an achievement, isn't it, in terms of her reign, and also the way she's looked after the Commonwealth over her reign as well. So it's brilliant. And we talked about the baton, and I believe there is a nomination process for Batonbearers, and I think you are looking for over 2,000 people from the local communities to carry the Queen's baton. So tell us about it, and what's the process of people getting involved?
One of the lovely things about my job is that something exciting happens every single week on the Games. This week, we've just launched our Batonbearers nominations process. You're right. What we're looking for are 2,022 people to carry the baton as part of its journey. We're looking for people, and you might know someone in your family, somebody who is in your network, who inspires you, who has an inspiring story, who has overcome a challenge. And over the last couple of years, there's more people than ever who've helped their local community or helped other people. If you would like to nominate somebody that you know, there's a really simple process on our website. You add their name, and then we want to hear about why they're special. And we want to pick people who are representative of our place in order to hold that baton and bring it home.
Brilliant. And what's the website?
It is Birmingham2022.com.
So our audience at home, please look into that website and do participate. And from here, as a community, a media partner, BeonTV, will promote it on a regular basis to encourage people to sign up for that process. So thank you very much for that. So talking about the community, obviously, the Commonwealth Game is for the community and by the community as well. So how are you engaging the community in the wider communities from Birmingham and the wider UK in the Games? And I believe there is a big volunteering campaign and for people to take part, because obviously there's going to be a lot of games taking place. You need a lot of manpower to manage all that, and hence you need a lot of volunteers to support that process. So is the volunteering opportunity still open, or is that closed?
Well, we had to get ourselves organised.
Okay.
So the volunteering applications actually closed in August last year.
Okay.
We had over 40,000 applications,
Wow. Okay.
which is fantastic. Through the autumn, between September and December, in Birmingham Library, we held interviews. So we had a volunteer selection centre and we interviewed face-to-face 23,000 people.
Wow.
People will be hearing by the end of January if they've been successful in that process, but we'll be looking forward to welcoming our 13,500 people into our volunteering workforce, and we call them the Commonwealth Collective.
Okay. So what role would they be playing then as a volunteer? What kind of roles we're expecting to see?
That was one of the most popular questions we got in the Volunteering Selection Centre. Some people will be driving, some people will be with the athletes and making sure they've got all the kit that they need. Other people will be anyone who's been to, say, the Olympics or other sports events. There'll be some foam fingers, and there will be people welcoming visitors at train stations and at venues. There will be people behind the scenes as well, making sure that all our venues run smoothly. We're making the most of every person's skill set. So if we find somebody who's a medic or someone who's got tech skills, we're going to put them to work.
Brilliant. And how diverse is the volunteering team? Because obviously, as I said earlier, Birmingham is a diverse society. So how diverse is the team that you've appointed?
It's really been important to us to go out into communities and try and encourage lots of different types of people to become volunteers. And there are currently 500 of our volunteering workforce who became the interviewers at the Volunteering Selection Centre. And they have been really important to us because they are a much younger dynamic than previous games. And the people that they have seen coming through the interview process, I went down to talk to them, they said there was a really great representation of all the different types and nationalities of people here in the West Midlands. It was a younger profile than usual. 60% of the people we're seeing have never volunteered before for anything, so it's a brand new audience. We've got great representation from all across our communities, also from our disabled community and also from our LGBTQ+I.
Brilliant, and that sounds really good because volunteering is very important for employability, isn't it? So, will you support these volunteers in terms of post, the games? Will you support them to identify what they've gained, the skills that they gained, which they can then use for their employment opportunities? Will there be any process for that?
There is. When we've talked to the volunteers, they've given us three sort of main motivations why they want to volunteer. Some people are really excited that there's going to be a major event happening here and they live here and they want to be part of it. Other people do want to use this as a stepping stone to better employment and move them into employment. And then there's another group of people who just want to give back and who want to make other people see what makes them proud of their place here. We are going to give them a training course. It's going to be some of the training that we provide for volunteers will be about the venue. Some of it will be about the role that they get given, but they'll also have a broad base of other skills that they can gain training to take them past the games. We've also set up something called the Jobs and Skills Academy. And this will continue working with those people who are employed on the games, but who obviously have a temporary job because the games is just an event and it will finish. And it will also keep working with any of the volunteers that want to use it right the way through into 2023 to help people take steps towards a new employment opportunity or even back into education.
Oh, that sounds really good, and I think the legacies for the games will be carried on by these volunteers. So that's very encouraging, and I think I would also encourage that there should be some sort of awards for them at the end. Obviously, they will get certificates or something like that. But
I think that's a great
yeah,
idea.
And if they can have some sort of awards, then we can have a big event where they can be awarded trophies for their hard work. So
People are already saying to us, how do we stay in touch with each other when, after we've volunteered? We want to keep it going. Maybe there's an event that we can have on an annual basis to keep coming back. And where do you think we could volunteer locally after the games? So I hope that that's part of our legacy as well.
That's brilliant, and I think we also have a very strong community and voluntary sector here in Birmingham, and I think our experience of working with the voluntary sector, they're always looking for volunteers. So I think here it's another opportunity to connect these volunteers with the voluntary sector, so that they can deliver some sports-related stuff in the community setting. Because I know there's across Birmingham and West Midlands, there's a lot of community centres that are placed in different towns. So those community centres can benefit from the volunteering force, the workforce that you're preparing. So there is a connection there, and that again will be a legacy for the games. What do you think about that?
I think it's a brilliant idea. In fact, we're working on something. We haven't made an announcement about it yet, but what we'd like to do is to create a matching platform after the games, so that we can take some of those 13,500 people who volunteered and make it really easy for them to find somewhere on their doorstep to keep that going. I hope that we'll be in a position to announce how we're going to do that. And you asked me about how we are getting out and about in the community. One of the things that we've done is created a community engagement team. We've been out and about doing something we call road shows, which was a bit nicer when the weather was nicer, but we've been out and about inside during the winter. We've done 30 of these. We've been travelling around the region, taking pop-up sports participation things. There's like a mini squash court and table tennis.
Wow.
And taking that out to local parks, inviting people to come and ask questions about the games, to show them that we want to involve them. We also have a plan to do something which No Games ever has done before. People who are familiar with sporting events will know that you get a fan zone outside the stadium. We're planning to do those, but we're also planning to create neighbourhood fan zones or neighbourhood festival sites. And for 7 days around the games schedule, we'll be holding wonderful neighbourhood celebrations in parks and in local centres, where the community who perhaps don't want to come into the centre of Birmingham or to the venue or don't have a ticket, they can come and experience the games in their place.
Brilliant. That's really interesting in terms of the volunteering, and I think the outcome that you will achieve from supporting these individuals, you said 13,000 plus volunteers, is going to be a tremendous boost to the skills and employability within the region. So that's really encouraging. We talked about volunteering, but are there any employment opportunities still available within games? And if so, where can people go and search for these opportunities?
We've got jobs coming out of our ears.
Okay.
Come and get a job on the games. We've got current vacancies. They are all on our website, the one I gave earlier. Mm-hmm. So jobs vacancies are on birmingham2022.com under jobs. If you look at get involved and then jobs, we are looking for around 1,200 people to work in the organising committee where I work, but the games themselves will generate 35,000 jobs and temporary opportunities for people. If you can imagine the thousands of people we need on catering, cleaning, waste, security, stewarding. But then there's also highly skilled jobs around tech and broadcasting and venue operations. we are looking for people who've got recruitment experience, management experience, and all of these are paid. During the summer, we're also expecting to launch some summer jobs. So if you're not looking for a longer term opportunity, there will be things ranging from 3 weeks to 3 months, and we'll be coming out with a campaign inviting people to come and join us for the best ever summer job.
Brilliant. You heard that from Nicola here. So please go into the Commonwealth Games website, search for jobs, and there are plenty of opportunities, like Nicola said. So please search those opportunities and do apply where possible. Yeah, brilliant. So these are great opportunities, Nicola, and I think from a community's perspective, it's very encouraging because obviously due to the pandemic, a lot of people have lost their jobs. Yeah. People also have got tremendous skills that they have they can use in terms of in the new job roles. So I would encourage people at home, please look for those opportunities. If your children, if your siblings, if your children, if your brothers, if they're looking for jobs, please direct them to the website, and I'm sure
we're a nice team.
Yeah.
And I did hear a rumour that if you've got games like this on your CV, that it's really you end up getting your CV pulled out, and people want to talk about it in an interview because it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
So
and it's often once in a lifetime opportunity, isn't it, for this kind of job opportunities.
I think we're going to be talking about this for a long time.
Brilliant. Please do come back to us, and we'll talk further on that. Very interesting. So in terms of the games itself, how will people find out about the different games? You talked about 19 different games that's going to take place, and what are the entry costs, and most importantly, is it affordable for the public? Obviously, we want to encourage as many audiences as possible to fill up the seats in those games. So where can they find out about those different games, the cost of it, and is it affordable?
We've thought very carefully about an accessible ticketing strategy. If you're going to go out with a vision that says this is a games for everyone, we need to think carefully about making it affordable. The average cost of a ticket is £22.
Okay.
And there are all kinds of different options available if you want to buy a ticket. You can also come to our festival sites, which will be free. So you can come and experience the games outside one of the venues in Birmingham Centre, or in Centenary Square and Victoria Square, and all the way down New Street. And that doesn't cost you anything. So you can come and enjoy the experience. The other thing is we're running a 6-month cultural festival all the way around the games that will kick off in March this year. That will also be free. So people who aren't into sport, they can also take part in the celebration of the games through cultural events. We've been really interested in how we can bring those opportunities to local organisations. We've been running something called the Creative Cities grant process, where we've been we're looking for 150 organisations to come forward with their ideas to get grants of up to £20,000, which will allow us to put stuff on in different communities. And Birmingham City Council have also invested a significant sum of money, £2 million, in celebrating communities, which is where all of the 69 wards in the Birmingham City Council area, they can put in for a grant to help them celebrate the games their way.
Brilliant. It's so many good stuff going on, Nicola, and we are really excited to be a part of it, and also encourage the community to take part of it. So everyone, it's been really interesting to talk about the games, and we're going to talk more after the break. Please join us again.
BeonTV UK, for the community, by the community. www.beon
সংবাদ, সংবাদের পেছনের সংবাদ এবং নানা ধরনের আয়োজন নিয়ে আমি সজল ছত্রী আছি বিয়ন টিভির সাথে।
তথ্য নির্ভর বস্তুনিষ্ঠ সংবাদ নিয়ে আমরা আসছি বিয়ন টিভিতে। চোখ রাখুন, সঙ্গে থাকুন বিয়ন টিভির সংবাদ।
Hello everyone, welcome back to this special program. We're talking about the Birmingham Commonwealth Games 2022, which is taking place from the 28th of July to 8th of August this year. I've been talking to Nicola Turner, who is the Director of Legacy at the Birmingham 22 Commonwealth Games, and we've been talking about the aims and objectives of the game and how this game will, how the community can involve with this game. So it's been really interesting discussion so far. So Nicola, I just wanted to ask you in terms of, I think you touched on it previously as well, but just to have more clarity in terms of how will the Commonwealth Games change Birmingham and the wider West Midlands, because as a region, you mentioned that this £750 million is going into that, into organising this event. So, with such a big kind of investment, what will be the return? What will Birmingham get out of it?
I think there's a number of different returns. One is an economic return, to have more visitors come here, to have more conferences, perhaps more events like this, to be seen as a place where, that was a great place to hold a big event. We'd like to do more of those. I think that could be really good for our economy.
People will know more about Birmingham and the places we have in here.
More visitors. And I think that would be great for our hospitality economy. I think that we're showcasing not only the place, but our people as well. That we've got 180 countries of people have decided to live here in the West Midlands. For that reason, we're a warm and welcoming place. And I think we show a modern Britain. We're an inclusive place, we're a young place.
Diversities.
Great diversity. And why wouldn't employers want to come here and set up their businesses here if we've got this wonderful mixture of people that live here? Obviously, you touched on it earlier, we've got skills, we've got people who will have been employed by this Games, and the people who've been part of this event will want to go on and and really push forward with their careers after this. There's a huge talent pool of people here. So I think we've got a people legacy, I think we've got an economic legacy, but I also think that we will have brought into the region investments that might have taken 10 years, 20 years to bring in. So our transport infrastructure will have changed a lot. And I think the people in Perry Barr at the moment are finding it a real pain to have those transport improvements happening on their doorstep. But let's not forget we're going to have 2 new stations at the end of this so that people will be able to get into the city centre much more easily. We'll have a sprint bus route. And the other thing which I think is going to put us on the map is we've got this huge sustainability legacy. We're going to be aiming for this carbon neutral legacy. No games has ever previously been able to achieve that. And we want as a region to show ourselves as a centre of green growth. We want to be the next industrial revolution bringing green tech to the world. And I think having all those eyes on us, those 1.5 billion TV viewers, the 1.4 million tickets that we'll sell, I think people will see Birmingham and see the region more positively.
So the clean air zone that we have in Birmingham, are any of the sites of games fall within those clean air zone?
Yeah, so you've got anything in the city centre, obviously, in the current bounds of that. But I don't know if people know this, but the price of a ticket also includes free public transport.
Okay, that's very interesting.
So we're trying to practice what we preach.
Okay, that's really good, and I think that's very encouraging. That will certainly increase the ticket sale, I'm sure. In terms of a successful games is a games where athletes are satisfied with facilities, with transportation, the food, the security. Tell us a bit more about the Commonwealth Game Village, where the athletes will be residing. Tell us a bit about that and how is that going in terms of its preparation.
Sure. We're on track, we're on time, we're on budget. People who've stayed in touch with games developments might know that the original idea was to have a big games village in Perry Barr next to the Alexander Stadium. And with the COVID situation, the delay to our plans meant that we had to go to Plan B.
Okay.
Plan B is 3 separate athletes' villages, one at Warwick University, one at the University of Birmingham, and one on the original Perry Barr site.
Okay.
Now, I think there's 3 villages, but athletes say to us that the journey time to venues is really important to them, for it to be really as little as possible, for them to have really great training facilities where they are, and we'll be able to achieve all of that. I think also it might be a bit more space, and therefore in these COVID times, a little bit more social distancing, it could be safer to have 3 villages rather than 1.
Yeah, and also we wanted to touch on the COVID. You mentioned about the COVID-19 pandemic, and I think obviously we talked about the athletes and for them to be safe. What measures are you taking to keep people safe, your audience safe throughout the games? And what's the contingency plan? Should there be any kind of a new variant or increase in COVID cases?
We've set up a special team. It's a really big event, but it is 7 months away. And the last 2 summers that we've had while we've been dealing and learning how to deal with this pandemic, things have got better as the weather gets warmer. So we're hoping that also that will help. We are learning also from events that are happening before this Games. So we have the Winter Olympics, we have the Women's Cricket World Cup, and we'll be finding out from not only the people putting those events on, but staying in touch with the best government experts, and they will give us advice. And we hope and we intend at the moment for this to be a fully participatory games with full stadia, and that everybody will be, measures will be put in place if we need to, but we're aiming for this to be a very safe games.
That's brilliant. And also here at BeonTV, as a community media partner, we are here to convey any kind of messages that you may have for the communities. So we're always here to pass that message on. And we're really pleased to be a community media partner with the Commonwealth Games, and we will do our best to support this game to make it a success. I also wanted to touch on, in terms of one thing I've noticed, because obviously Commonwealth Games been taking place since 1930, it's been going on historically, so a long time, and we've noticed that often it is the developed Commonwealth nations, such as Australia and other nations, are doing much better than less developed Commonwealth countries, and the developed ones are taking all the medals, which is rightly so, because they're winning them. But what measures do the International Commonwealth Committee put in place to ensure equality in terms of equality of strength in participation? Is there any kind of initiative by the International Committee to ensure that people, for example, from Bangladesh, that at least have Bangladesh, there is more encouragement for people in Bangladesh to take part in games, hence they are more able to, or be in a position to win games? Is there any kind of initiative as that?
I believe there are. I'm not an expert in this. You'd have to ask somebody who worked for the Commonwealth Games Federation. Yeah. But each individual Commonwealth Games association, I believe there are grants and there is funding that comes from the Commonwealth Games Federation, which is there specifically to help developing countries. And the spirit and the values that the Commonwealth Games Federation have are around equality, and really a huge push on ensuring, for example, that Paralympic athletes can have the same facilities and the same opportunities as able-bodied athletes as well. And that's been a big push in recent years. But I don't know enough to be able to give you a full answer.
Perhaps we can have that discussion in future programs. So we talked about the communities, and they can, they will be taking part as the volunteers, they can apply for jobs. What else can the people from our diverse community do to support this Commonwealth Games to make it a big success?
I think you need to tell your friends. Okay. I think you also need to follow the Queen's baton, because, for example, tomorrow the Queen's baton arrives in India, and it's in India for 4 days. And so, for anybody who's got friends and family out in India, there should be a lot of press about the Queen's baton going around different places in India. And it's a really nice way to connect with people overseas and stay in touch. So I would follow the Queen's baton and enjoy its journey around the world, and take the chance to connect with friends and family abroad as it does its visits. I would also encourage people to have a look at the jobs website and come and be employed by the Games if you're looking for work at the moment, or you know somebody who is. We've talked about Batonbearers, but I'm going to talk about it one more time. Yeah, if you do think that there is somebody here, all you need is to live in England, and you can be nominated. And I would love to see our community stepping forward and putting forward names of people who inspire them for our baton bearers. The other thing that you could do is you could join us in raising money for one of the official Games charities. So at the moment, the Games has 3 official charities. It has the United by 2022 charity, which is aiming to keep legacy projects that are working, that are giving benefit to communities, to keep them going after the Games. So we're raising money for a community fund that will enable local people to solve the challenges on their doorstep.
So people can raise the money that can then put forward to that pot.
Absolutely.
That will be then used for community events and programs.
Absolutely. And putting money back into the hands of people in the community to solve the problems around them.
Yeah, and also buy tickets. You know, we want those seats to be filled, isn't it?
Do you know, you can. I was very successful in the ballot, and some of my friends weren't, and then they've disowned me. They've said that there's no point in knowing me if they weren't successful. Yeah. We've just announced a really exciting partnership with Sport Relief. It was announced last week. We are, people might know the Comic Relief and the Sport Relief fundraising opportunities. We're going to be announcing more about our partnership with Sport Relief in coming months, but we hope that people might do something like the Sport Relief Mile with us and maybe get active with their friends and family and raise a bit of money for Sport Relief.
Brilliant. Any message that you want to give out to the communities, please, we're here to help and support the programme. Before we close the programme, I just wanted to ask you in terms of, you have a big responsibility as a director of Legacy. So what's your vision for Legacy of this game?
I think there'll be a big legacy from the memories people will have of the event. I want people to drive past the Alexander Stadium and go, oh, I went to a thing there, or I was part of, I was a volunteer. I want people to bore their grandchildren with their stories about how fantastic it was to hold this, the biggest event since the Olympics, here in this place. But I think beyond the big legacy, I think there will be 1,000 tiny legacies. So somebody whose confidence was boosted by becoming a volunteer, somebody whose arts organisation got a grant and was able to put on a great show as part of the bigger show, that boosted them on to greater success. So I'm looking forward to this place and this the people in it enjoying being under the spotlight, showing the best of ourselves, but also having a brighter future because of it.
Okay, and also get more people to participate in general sports, isn't it? And that should be one of our big legacy, because West Midlands needs more people to participate in sports and daily exercises. So hopefully these games will enthuse and encourage our communities to be more active, more healthier in the community. So thank you very much for this, for the information that you've given us, and there's a lot more we can talk, and hopefully we will meet on a monthly basis to update our community on how things are moving forward with the games, and also share all the successes with our communities via BeonTV UK. So we are also pleased and proud to be a part of the Commonwealth Games, and as I said before, we will do our best to convey the message of this program, of these games to our communities, to our audience. So Nicola, thank you very much for coming on to our show today, and you know, we look forward to talking to you again, your colleagues again, and also in future when you have sports personalities, we would like to invite them to our show and talk about how their experiences has been participating in the game. So thank you very much for being with us today, and we will hope to keep you informed on a regular basis about how the Commonwealth Games is going. So thank you for joining us today. Please follow us on Facebook as well as on YouTube. So thank you very much for joining us. See you again.
BeonTV UK, for the community, by the community. www.beontvuk.com